Hey, Mark.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Practice has gone well. Guys have worked hard. They're excited about playing in this team. It's the 11th game of the season, or the 11th week of the season for us. So it's hard and grueling and grinding, and teams make a difference in who they are in November. That's just the old adage was you remember November. So you try to figure out who you are by November. In November, we know who you are, and then you got to either rise up or step down. That's just the pretenders till November, and the contenders in November have been talked about for many years. You think about the program. When you get a program, you want to recruit well enough to have depth, and then you got to develop guys. And that's something we all talk about all the time. I'm just thinking this morning, I may miss some, but Tamari Fox is getting his knee cleaned up this afternoon, and he missed the year anyway. So that was a starter on the defensive line. Rava Hasek had his operation yesterday, and he's doing really well. There's another starter on the offensive line. Now Noah Taylor and Des Evans are out. So that's 4 starters in the defensive line that are critical players for us that are no longer playing. And then you add Sebastian Cheeks to it. That was a critical piece for us at linebacker. And with his operation, he's out for the year. And then you start looking at Tylee Kraft, which obviously he's out for the year because he wasn't able to compete and isn't. And then you lose Josh Downs and Antoine Green for 3 and 4 games to start the season. And then you sit there and you've lost your top 2 running backs with experience with British Books and Caleb Hood. So it's about recruiting and development. That's what I told our coaches. This time of the year, a lot of people have injuries. There's nothing you can do about it. But you got to be able to have somebody step up. And that's what we've told the guys. It is truly the next man up. And I don't think I've ever seen this many key players hurt during a season. And the guys are still working and still working really hard. So practice has gone well. Guys are staying focused. It was interesting. I was in the elevator with a couple of them this morning, and they were saying, what time's your test? Yeah, no, I've got a hard one this afternoon. So we forget that these guys have real lives and that they're students and that they've got a lot of things going on in their life. So it's really important that they continue to focus this late in the season. Virginia is very talented on offense. I go back to last year's offense, and Brennan Armstrong threw for 554 yards. That's more than Drake's thrown for in any game this year. And they scored 39 points. And they've got the same receivers, basically, except they added Davis, who's a 6'7" receiver that's really good. So those guys are very talented. Brennan Armstrong's been amazing. He's 101 yards away from 10,000 yards total offense in the ACC. And there's only 14 guys that have ever accomplished that. So what he's done at Virginia is absolutely amazing. And I saw it firsthand last year because I sat there and I watched it without question. Defensively, they've gone 8 consecutive quarters without giving up a touchdown. And nobody talks about that. That's phenomenal. In modern day football, 8 quarters without giving up a touchdown is absolutely phenomenal. They've held the last 2 opponents to 275 yards or less. And that's the first time they've done that at Virginia since 2019. And they're giving up about 340 yards a game and 20-something points, which is phenomenal. So they are playing hard. They're playing great defense. Nick Jackson, their top linebackers, got 334 career tackles, the 3rd most in active Power 5 defenders. Anthony Johnson and Fentrell Cypress, they've got 24 pass breakups. So they're tied with Illinois for best in the country. So these guys are doing a lot of good things. And you go back to this game, kind of like the Duke game, our our older alums are really into the Duke game, and it's really, really important to them. Well, this is the South's oldest rivalry. It started in 1892. The universities are very much alike, so a lot of our graduates and their graduates work together, and they work with each other. So once again, this game is very, very important for all those reasons. Proud that our guys were 17th in the country last night in the college football playoff poll. That one means more. It's not an opinion. It's based on a lot of different things that are calculated. And two of the teams that we play over the next 4 weeks are ranked in the poll as well. So we've got a tough finish here, starting at Virginia. Like I said on Monday, I like and respect Tony Elliott. I think he's a great hire for Virginia, and they get better each week, and we'll have our hands full, and it should be a great challenge for us. Questions? None?
All right.
Okay.
No, they're slow once again this week, Coach. Luciano, lead us off.
Hey, Coach. I hope you're doing well, and thanks for your time. I wanted to ask you about the playoff poll you just mentioned. The ACC is tied with the SEC and the Pac-12 for the most ranked teams in the poll, and Clemson is ranked in the top 4. Do you think that says anything about the current state of the conference and how competitive it is?
It really does. You look at what Syracuse has done this year, and Syracuse is a team that people weren't talking about, and I saw we play them next year, and Dino's done a great job. So proud for him. Wake and State were supposed to be there. People talked about them as teams that would be there, and I know there was some concern that Florida State wasn't ranked as well as they've done at times. So, but yeah, the league's really, really good, and I think it'll just continue to get better. We had so many new coaches this year, and those guys will get better and better each year with when they get their recruiting going.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, over to Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, it's interesting looking at UVA. It's almost like they flipped from a year ago. The offense was so prolific and the defense kind of struggled. Now they've sort of reversed. What is the defense doing that's dramatically different? Because they have been consistently good. It's not just the last 2 games. They've been good from the start.
The defensive coordinator came from Air Force, and he was actually the linebacker coach when Charlton Warren was the defensive coordinator at Air Force. So they're very close. They're very good friends. He's a very good teacher. They're very sound, but man, are they playing hard, and they're playing with a whole lot of confidence. And I think that's what you see the most.
When you look at a game like this, is this sort of a test to see where your team is mentally, given it's on the road, it's a noon game? UVA hasn't had a lot of success, and the focus is on the offense, not on what the defense is doing. So that's what the kids are seeing and hearing out there.
Yes, I've told the players that you look at Virginia nearly beat Syracuse, and Syracuse had a chance to beat Clemson. So you look at it, all these teams are talented enough, and Virginia just keeps getting better and better. They had every opportunity to beat Miami this weekend and just didn't score in the red zone when they had opportunities. And I've told our team that you are who you are. You're not who you say you are. So put it on video and show me, don't tell me. And I've also told them that it's hard to be a great team. You can be a good team. We're a good team. It's hard to be a great team. And to do that, you got to step up every week. It's been since 1997 that we've won 5 games on the road. That means it's hard to do. It is really hard to do. And this will be a very difficult game this weekend, and the guys know it. And I said, you can either have your mind in the right place, you can either play up, you lose games because you missed assignments, because you have too many penalties, you have too many turnovers, and you screw up the kicking game, and especially on the road. That's how you lose games. So I've told them that more teams lose games than win games, because if you do what you're supposed to do, you usually win the game. And we always come in on Sunday and say, well, we messed up this, we messed this up, we messed this up. Well, that's usually because you're not ready to play. So the simple message to them this week, Andrew, has been, it's on you. It's a player-led team. You got to get your mind ready. We can tell you, we can help you. I said, that sometimes it sounds like I'm being negative when I said Brennan threw for 554 yards last year. I'm not. It's facts. I stood there and watched it. So he's really, really good with all these great receivers. You look, I think it's one game different in the record between the two teams at Scott Stadium. It's facts. It's been harder to win up there than it has in Chapel Hill. Somebody said yesterday, are you being negative with them? I said, I'm not. I'm telling them the truth. And I think they need to hear the truth now. And I said, those teams that got upset last week, what was their mindset on Wednesday? They think it's going to be easy on Wednesday? So you tell me. So that's kind of the way we've handled the team this week. It is what it is. Go play. If you play good enough, you win. If you don't, you're not the team that we hoped you were.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Andrew.
CL Brown, go ahead.
All right, Mac, kind of piggybacking off of that sentiment. Do you find yourself, have you spent less time this year kind of having to get the team in the right mindset? Because it seems like, from the beginning of the season till now, you might have been disappointed with execution in places, but it doesn't seem like this team has had a letdown in terms of their effort. Like it always seems like the effort has been there even when the execution has not.
Yes, I think that's fair, CL, and I saw it in the spring. I feel like I'm beating up last year's team. I'm not, because we lost close games. And we have 3 turnovers at Virginia Tech in the opener, and we're driving to score to tie the game and go to overtime at the end, and we get beat by 7 points. And everybody thought that was a disaster. We didn't play very well. And that's it. And then we go to Georgia Tech and have 3 turnovers in the first half. And then we lose at State late. We lose at Pitt late. I mean, those are just things that we didn't do well, that we needed to do well last year. But I saw last year's team inconsistent in the spring. And I thought that led to not being able to have enough confidence and being a total group together. This bunch has practiced well every day. They've pulled for each other. They've had fun. They've been excited, and they've played with confidence. Even when early we weren't playing well on defense, they still liked each other and they were trying, and that it just didn't work. But they've worked hard enough to fight through that it works now. So the message is still the same, but I think they're listening.
And with guys like Collins and Hamrick and Rucker, who are probably going to be, seeing more snaps and everything with the injuries, is there anything you look for in particular during the week that kind of, is a barometer of if you feel like they're ready to accept that responsibility?
CL, we talked a lot this week about it. It's our responsibility to recruit the right guys. And we've been here 4 years, so we should have enough players. And it's our responsibility to develop them. And it doesn't always sound good for coaches, because those are things that coaches get criticized for. But we've said it's time for Kendrick Binkley Jones to step up and play. Malachi Hambrick's just gotten here. I mean, he's a real puppy, but he got to help us. Chris Collins been here a long time, and he's got to step up and take some of that leadership role that Noah had that was so good. Noah's been out here coaching them every day. I'm so impressed with that young guy. His heart has to be broken that he got hurt. It's before the NFL draft. It's right before he plays his buddies at Virginia. I mean, there's so many boxes that checks that are tough for him to handle. And he's more upbeat this week than I am. So I'm so impressed with him, with everything he does. But I do think the biggest thing is that it's facts. These guys are hurt. They're not out. It hurts our team. But in truth, you can either lay down and have excuses, or somebody step up and play. And we're not going to use that as an excuse. We got to step up and play.
Over to Adam Smith.
Hey, Mac. Just first off, had just housekeeping real quick for you. With Des Evans and Caleb Hood, will those guys have surgeries? I mean, I'm assuming that's why they're out for the rest of the year because they need surgery. Is that correct?
I think Caleb will for sure, and Dez, they're trying to wait and see. Is what yeah, I think we'd have to ask Luke to make sure, Adam, if you need us to, but that's what I've been told. Dez is a wait and see situation, and Caleb is an absolute. And I'm not sure when that's scheduled for.
Okay. Well, we hadn't talked to you since then. I just wanted to check on
Yes,
that.
I'm sorry. And I didn't know Sunday. I mean, I didn't know Monday when I talked to
Right.
you that we weren't going to have them. They were evaluating the guys. And as soon as I walked out of there, they told me about Noah. And then later that afternoon, I actually heard about the other two. So I'm sorry and I apologize, but I didn't have that information at the time we talked.
We'll let you slide on that one, Mac. Jeremy got it out quick.
Well, and what we want to do, to be fair, if somebody is maybe not going to play, but there's a possibility they will, we hold it till game time because we want to be fair. And I know at one point at Texas, I said one guy was going to play and then he didn't, and the media got all mad at me. And it was Wednesday, I think, when I said he was going to play, and he had a setback on Thursday and couldn't play. And then they all said, well, you told us he was going to play. So that's why we started holding it till game time to make sure that we're right. But as soon as we know that someone is out for the year, we make their parents aware, we make our team aware, and then we make you aware immediately. So we do not try to hold anything for a week or 2 weeks, as long as we know. And with the family, it's okay for it to be released. And that's the other thing we have to always approve.
Okay, switching gears here. I mean, you've said it for forever that you feel like the CFP holds more significance and weight, and that you shouldn't rank teams until this time of the year. Like, so, okay, so you popped in 17 last night. I mean, what has been your message? Just how did you address it to the team? What were you saying about it? And just how are you approaching that with what you want your guys hearing from you about it?
I've told them that when we were ranked 5th in the country during the COVID year, we didn't earn it. We didn't deserve it. I told them when we were ranked in the top 10 last year before the season, we didn't deserve it. We hadn't played any games. We didn't earn it. And I don't like that. I feel very uncomfortable with a team being applauded without doing anything. They've earned this. They've worked really, really hard to go from nowhere to here. And the story is not over. You know, you got to finish the story. But I told them, thank you and congratulations, because you have earned this. And I really feel like it's the first time since we've been here that we've earned something nationally. And the Orange Bowl team earned a lot of stuff, but when we lost our players and lost to A&M, I think we're 18th or something. We ended up dropping. I don't remember even what it was. But that team lost a couple of games that we had a chance to win that were close games on the road that we lost. So this team to this point has earned the right to be 17th based on all the time and people and analytics and stats that people put into who's the best teams. So I'm proud of that for them. And I told them the only way that stays is you keep playing good. And you got to win. If you win, you keep going up, and if you lose, you drop out. And so we're Adam. I like this team so much, and I like these kids so much. I have been brutally honest with them, and I've told them we don't need to talk about this. We don't even mention the Coastal. We don't even mention the conference championship. Those things haven't been mentioned because you got to win to get to that point. So let's talk about it. If you win enough to clinch it, then you can talk about it. But it's just like we haven't talked about the polls. Well, they're in there now. So we'll talk about it. But then I've told them the only poll that matters is the one at the end of the year when we all look back on. That's the only one that lasts. The rest of them go away. And 10 years from now, when they ask you, you'll be able to say, yes, our team was rated this at the end of the year, but not at week 11.
Good deal, Mac. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Go ahead, Ross.
Hey, Mac, to kind of follow up on CL's question, kind of about the defensive line, has there been a player or two that's kind of stood out to you stepping in that you've been impressed with this week? How do you think it's going working in those new players? You obviously already mentioned a couple of guys, just kind of your observations after 2 days of practice from that group.
Ross, the biggest thing is we practice good against good about every day. So Kendrick Beakley Jones, Keyshawn Silver, they keep getting better and better. Both of them had very difficult injuries when they got here. And then both of them got bigger than they wanted to be when they had those injuries, and they've gotten their weight down and they're working really hard. And also Jalil Taylor's back. He's kind of been a lost name, but he hurt his knee in the bowl game. We didn't know when he was going to get to play. He missed spring, but he's out there competing too. So we're very, very fortunate to have 3 players that are good enough to play outside of the other ones. And we've told Miles Murphy he's well. So you're going to have to play more plays. You know, we've been playing him 25 plays. And he's one of the best defensive tackles in the country when he's healthy. And he says he's back to 100%. So I feel like that we've got enough players. We've just got to have guys step up that haven't been able to prove it. And if you sit as a player and you're unhappy that you haven't gotten enough snaps, well, what a great opportunity now to prove the coaches were wrong. So go play and go answer questions. And that's what we've told them, that it's your time to step up and make a difference.
And, you know, you answered a lot of stuff about playing up at Virginia when you're talking with Andrew, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you haven't won up in Charlottesville ever, right?
I haven't won a lot of places.
Is that kind of crazy? Is that kind of crazy to think about?
Not really, because when we got here, we didn't win anywhere.
Yeah.
You think Virginia was really good. Them and Georgia Tech were top 10 teams. So Bobby Ross was killing us, and George Welsh was killing us. And so we got better at the end, and everybody remembers the one game that we lost up there that we had a chance to win. I think it was 9 minutes left. We were up 17-3. And I remember that like it was yesterday. But other than that, last year, 2 years ago, when we were up there, they had a good team. We lost at Florida State, just like we lost at Virginia. It was a late game where we had a chance to win, but we weren't ready at that point to win the close games on the road. And that's all about the culture and your program and the mindset of your program. And right now, this team, and I've told them, you've won 7 points or less in the 4 road games. So understand, this is going to be a close game based on what we know. And it's hard to win 5 games on the road, but it has absolutely nothing to do with me. We said we haven't beaten Florida State. That most of the time they've been better than we are. Last year, I didn't think we played well. We jump out 10-0, and then we stink on defense and give up 35 points after Jordan runs 60 yards on a 3rd down and 6. So it's about playing, and very honestly, it's not some teams have others number. That happens. I see it. We had trouble winning at Kansas State when I was at Texas. I don't know why. They usually played better than we did when we went out there. So, but it's about who plays the best, and that's what I told the team today. If you don't have missed assignments, if you're high energy, you're having fun, if you don't have penalties, you don't have turnovers, and your kicking game's great, you have a chance to win. And it's not about anything else but that. And that's kind of boring, but that's facts.
First time for everything.
There's a first time for everything. And it's not about me. Jeremy actually said this week, why don't you tell the kids they need to win for you? They don't need to win for me. They need to win for them. I got plenty of wins.
All right, over to Michael Coe.
Mac, when we were talking to Power earlier, he called Chris Collins the locker room favorite. He's a guy who, kind of like British, he was here before you got here. He was under Coach Fedora. I mean, do you see, like British, that he has that sort of calming, voice of reason influence on the defense when he's out there or just even in practice?
Yeah, absolutely. They love Chris. And Chris's mom and dad are coaches, and he's got such a tremendous personality. And when Adam came in, when Noah came in and started playing, at some point that could have been really tough for Chris because Noah got more publicity and Noah was a leader and Noah kind of took over. And Chris was all in. He and Noah are best friends. And that just shows you how special Chris Collins is. And they were laughing with him today. And he said, I grew up in Richmond, man. I don't need to lose this game and go back home. So we have a lot of Virginia players, and that makes this game even more special.
And with Caleb obviously being out for the remainder of the year, who do you anticipate being that sort of number one-ish guy at running back for the remainder of the year?
Michael, we're talking about defensive line, moving those guys around and figuring out during the game who's playing the best. And we've got to do the same thing at running back. DJ's Jones is healthy now, so he can play. He was out 2 weeks ago and didn't play as much. Elijah Green's playing at a very high level at everything. We got to be smart with him that he played on all special teams the other day and played a lot at running back, and he got cramps. It's the first time that we've had a guy get cramps all year, and he is in tremendous shape. So we've got to be careful that we don't overuse him. And then Omarion just keeps getting better. And we still have very high hopes for George Pettaway. And we'd love to get him in the game more. And that's why we've got him back there returning kickoffs now. But we'd like to get the ball in his hands some. But it's kind of been at running back, whoever's hot, whoever's healthy, whoever fits the type of ball we need to play as compared to the defense and what they're forcing us to do, put them in there. Larry put George in there in a critical spot the other day to catch flare, and the ball wasn't where he needed it to be. But so we're really trying to do a great job of managing those backs and getting the right one on the field. It hurt us last week with Caleb because he practiced all the time. And then fourth play or something, he's out of the game. So, but we thought he was going to play, and he had been hit and handled that in the past. So he just fell on it wrong, and that took care of it. But it hurts you when you play guys and you practice guys, and then you start the game, they can't play. You've taken away snaps for others, and it was hard to play running back against the Pitt defense because they blitzed every time. So they were going to give you different looks and come every time. So you had to know what to do, but you also needed to be a back that could step up and do a great job of pass protection, or you couldn't play in that game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Michael.
Well, Coach, I think that was our last question this morning. We appreciate you spending some time with us.
Thank you, folks. Travel safe, and we'll see you Saturday.